Adobe Max 2017. My name is Paul Macker. I'm here with Future Media Concepts and Dell. We are at the Dell FMC campus. Please come on in and take a seat. We've got a hands-on session, free of charge, just like the drinks and the food. You can come on in and you can take advantage of these awesome Dell workstations we got here on display. They are touchscreen 4K. And Mr. Rod Harlan, without further ado, please entertain everyone with your skills.
I will do my best, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming. My name is Rod Harlan. For those of you joining us on the live stream, welcome. Wish you were here at Adobe Max. We're going to be doing a class on time-lapse inside of Photoshop, and literally some ways that you can profit from doing that. So we're going to be working with some still images, bringing them into video files, converting them into video files inside of Photoshop. Some cool little techniques you can use to maybe spice them up in your work, and then some ways that also you might be able to use it to go ahead and maybe put them up on some stock sites for sale. So for those of you here in the audience, you can kind of go ahead and work along with me. We're going to be inside Photoshop. If you want to go ahead and launch Photoshop, and then under the File menu, I want to show something out. Do not use the Open command that is on the dashboard. I'm going to tell you why in a minute, because believe it or not, it is not the same as the Open command under the File menu. So do not use that one. Go under the File menu to Open, and then I've got a whole bunch of files that are inside of my folder. So if you go to Desktop, then you go to Rod Harlan Adobe Max FMC, you'll find it, and in there you're going to find a folder called Charlotte Time-lapse Project. So what I want you to do is when you get to that, let me know. I'm going to give just a sec, everybody here. And when you got to that, thank you. You should see something like what I have up here, where you kind of see all these images. Now I'm just going to scroll through them right now. You can just kind of see it's a bunch of time-lapse images that are starting from 001 and going all the way down to 125, so we got 125 of them. They're just JPEGs, nothing fancy here. And they go, if you can kind of see the time lapse, we set up a camera and just set it to go ahead using the intervalometer in our DSLR to just go ahead and take a shot every few minutes as we went from daylight to dusk all the way to dark, okay? Now we're going to convert this real simple right into a video file inside of Photoshop. Here's the key. You're going to go and select just the first image. The reason you don't select all of them is that, let's say, you know, some of the cameras we have today, 24 megapixel and higher, you'd have all these big machines. If you were going to open up several hundred of these multi 24 megapixel files all at once, you might crash your machine. You might run out of RAM. So they've built in something in the Photoshop that's really cool and super easy. You just select the very first image, and then down here at the bottom, there's a little thing called image sequence. You see that right down there next to open? Just click on that once, and then, yep, you don't have it? Okay, did you not go under the File menu? If you don't have it, if you click this open right here, not supposed to do that. That's a bad thing, so go out of that. That's the open in the dashboard. I said don't click. Don't click. So go under the File menu to open, hit the image, grab just the first image, hit image sequence, hit open, and it's going to get you a dialog box immediately. And it's basically asking you, all right, what frame rate do you want? Because you're creating a video, right? So it wants to know, well, what is this? Is this like just something low end for the web at 15 frames a second? Is this something like for cinematographic that's going to be either 24, or as you can see here, we can actually get real specific to NTSC specs to 23.976. You can do 29.97, 59.94, anything that you want, it's already set it, because you can also do a custom if you want to do something like that. This is whatever you choose here is what's going to determine the length of your clip. For us right now, let's just do 23.976 and hit OK. And you'll see that in an instant. I mean, that took literally no time at all. Now, if on your file right now, you don't have this timeline down here at the bottom the way that I do, let me scroll that up so you can kind of see that a little bit better. But if you don't have that timeline, remove that. You want to go under the window menu down to where it says timeline. So if you don't see that automatically, you want to go to that right there. And so you've got this timeline. I'm just going to hit the play button, and you'll see that it has built immediately our time lapse. Super, super easy, right? I'll play that back one more time. Now, if this is all that we were going to do, and we just wanted to export this as a video file, all we would have to do is go under the File menu. You don't want to choose Save or Save As. Here's why. What that saves is actually this as a PSD file. So it saves it almost as your project. So you don't want to do that. You actually want to go all the way down to Export. And notice here, you can choose how you want to export. And at the very bottom, Render Video is one of your choices. If you select that, we'll give it a second to open up. It's going to give you a dialog box with the actual Adobe Media Encoder, if you want to use it, and you will, because that's mainly for video, or Photoshop image sequence. We're not going to deal with that today. We're going to deal with the Adobe Media Encoder. Here you have all sorts of whatever is loaded on your machine, right? So let's say that this machine was on an Avid machine, you would actually see some Avid codecs that you could save to. In this case, we're going to do H.264, and you'll see that there's a ton of presets already set up for you if you wanted to choose. Now, this is just if we were going to just export this and be done with it. The truth of the matter is, we want to do more with this file. I just wanted to show you this is all it takes to make a time lapse. Now, I'm going to cancel this because I want to show you what somebody else is already in the audience has already discovered. If for some reason, and you can leave it open on your machines, you don't have to cancel. I'm just going to show you. If you hit the open box from the dashboard, you select this one image, you'll see down here the image sequence checkbox. It's not there. It's one of those weird little things. It's not the same. The open from the dashboard and the file menu to open are not the same. So that's a little secret. If you're trying to do this at home and you're like, man, I don't find it, Rod, what is that? It's because you click the open from the dashboard, and what you want to do is File menu to open, first one, and then right down here, image sequence, hit open, and let it build. But look how fast that is. That is just ridiculously fast to make a video. Let's do a little bit more with this video though, okay? Let's go ahead and let's add a little bit more. I'm going to grab a brush. Well, actually, let's do something else. Let's go ahead and let's go over here and let's turn this. Let's add a layer. Let's go ahead and apply a black and white. Yeah, let's go ahead and apply a black and white layer right on top, right? So it's put it right on top for us. So now we haven't desaturated or anything. It's just let it play all the way through. It's just right on top. So this is what we like to call, I'm going to go ahead and take my glasses off so I can see a little bit better. But this is obviously one of the many adjustment layers that you can add that you've been doing probably with photos for many, many years. You can apply it right on top of video as well. Now here's the other cool thing. You can go ahead and adjust. Let me move this over just a hair. So we're kind of somewhere where it's just getting dark. You can go ahead and look at the reds. You can dial in the reds to make them pop a little bit more, the yellows to bring those out a little bit more. So what you're doing is you're affecting the color underneath, but you're not really, because it's non-destructive. So if I were to turn off this adjustment layer, you'll see that all my video is still there just fine. So here's the black and white right on top of it. So again, for some people, they may just want to tint their time lapse, turn their black and white video. For everybody who's here with me, let's go ahead and let's choose under the presets, let's go ahead and choose the yellow filter. So we're all in the same place, have it kind of adjusted the same way. So now we've got a nice yellow filter. One of the things I want to teach you guys is what you can do with layer masks and how we can kind of paint directly on a layer mask. And here's what it's going to do. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to punch a hole through the black and white layer mask to reveal the color that's coming up from the video below. Super easy to do. Here's how you do it. You go and you grab a brush. So there's your brush, so go grab your brush tool. Now I want to show you a keyboard shortcut. If you don't know this either here or watching us on the live stream, the left and right bracket keys will make your brush get larger and smaller, okay? So that's your left and right bracket keys. So grab a brush. And I'm gonna paint, down here, I'm gonna switch so that black is my foreground. I want black to be my top layer. My black color is my foreground layer. So I'm gonna hit that little arrow, and watch what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna paint right here on this street. Now I'm gonna do a little bit more here in just a second, but I wanna show you when I let go. Can you see what I've done over here in the layer mask that I'm painting? The black right there, you can kind of see it. Let me keep going. You can kind of see that I'm painting it right there, right? Super easy to just paint black on white. And what it's doing is it's letting that color come from the bottom layer up through. So when we play the video through, you get to see that. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Here's one of those things that I like to tell people. Here's a way that you can kind of add this to kind of your bottom line. If you're working in video and you want to kind of maybe make this a way that you can kind of sell some of your clients on this kind of work. A lot of times you can go through, and if you're getting, say, an architecture job or something, where you've got to go through and you've got to say that they're going to be remodeling a certain building or something like that. And you can say, well, listen, I go out there, I'm going to shoot you some video, and then I'm going to highlight that for you in a really cool way, so that, you know, so that when you do the presentation of here's the remodeling that we're going to do, or here's the construction project that's going to happen. This is a perfect example of how you can use this technique to sell a client on some work, on some additional work for you to do. So let's say that this building right here is one that we want to highlight. It's going to have some major work done in the future. So I'm just going to, again, paint just right on that building. And I'll hit play, and we'll kind of see, start from the beginning, kind of see how that goes. So it gives a really, really cool look. Super simple, super cool. Any questions from those in the audience? Following along, everybody good? Excellent, all right. So again, non-destructive, that's our video there. Here it is with black and white with those areas highlighted. We could do any number of things, right? Let me throw away this adjustment layer. I'm going to add this time, let's add maybe a hue and saturation, right on top. I'm going to hit the colorize button, and let's tint that a certain nice little blue. It's a little dark for my taste, so we might want to lighten it up just a hair. You can do the same kind of techniques, right? Where you can then go ahead, tint it a certain way, grab your brush, paint maybe on the building or whatever it is you want to highlight. Maybe you want to do the whole skyline real quick. It won't take long. Just highlight these buildings. Give me just a second. We'll just highlight across. We won't do the whole thing the interest of time. We won't get super critical with it, but you kind of get the idea. And we look at that, and we just see how it kind of makes it pop. So now you've got a tint and the color kind of sticking through. So kind of cool. All right. So that's what you can do, and that's how we create a time lapse. Now we're going to look at some ways that maybe we can do this with stock, and we can maybe shoot something with stock, and we're going to use some bigger files, okay? So I'm going to go and close this up. Let's go back under the File menu to open. This time I'm going to go back, and in my same folder that I had, that Rod Harlan Adobe Max FMC, there's one called Havasu Falls. If you double click on that, these are much larger files, okay? Much, much larger files. We're going to go ahead and grab one of those, hit image sequence, and click open. I'm going to go ahead and keep doing the same 24 frames a second. This one's a lot bigger, and we're going to see how this can come into play and what we can do with it. Now here's the beauty of this kind of work. So let me show you under image. Let's go all the way down to, let's say image size. And you'll see that we have now made a 4K video, larger than 4K video. That's what we've done. We've actually made one that's larger than that. So 4288 by 2848, right? That's our video file. So that's really cool. So right then and there, you could just clean this up and export it, okay? No problem. The beauty of something like this too is that you can go ahead and work on a lot of these images with the tools and things that you already know, right? So if for some reason we wanted to go ahead and let's say we added a levels adjustment, right? I'll just click auto for right now, nothing fancy, just click auto. Notice how it goes ahead and it gives us our image much brighter than what it was. And this is on the full video file, guys. This isn't just on one still image. It's on the whole shooting match. Let me make sure, let me stop for a second, make sure those of us that are in the room, everybody kind of following along? You good? All right. Woo, it's hot in here, I'm sweating. Getting worked up. And you guys are making me hungry. All right. All right, guys, so here's what we're gonna do. So this is a massive, larger than 4K video file. Here's the beauty. What if we wanted to export a bunch of these as 1920 by 1080s, right? So we can go under, like we said before, we could scale this down, we could go under File menu, and we could go to Export, and go down to Render Video, and set our size, and export that, and whatever, that's great. But there's so much more we can do. And I'm gonna show you, let me show you first what our actual 1920 by 1080, if you will, viewing window would actually look like. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go under Image, I'm gonna go down to Canvas Size. And here in Canvas Size, let me switch this to pixels, and I'm gonna type in 1920 by 1080. All right, I'm gonna hit OK. Now we're gonna get a warning sign, but don't worry about it. It's gonna say, uh-oh, the new canvas size is smaller than the current canvas size. Some clipping will occur. That's okay, we're gonna proceed. Because what I wanna show you is that that is 1920 by 1080. And so by changing our canvas size, our video is still there. It is in perfect shape. So by just going out one time, let's say, and shooting with your DSLR camera, setting it up and shooting it one time, you could actually output a video that is just the clouds, or maybe the clouds and a little bit of this waterfall like you see here. Let me zoom this in a little bit so you guys can kind of see a little bit better. So you can see there right there that that's all we're seeing. We're not seeing the whole waterfall. We're just seeing that little section. And then you can actually export that out. There's one of your stock clips, right? So you just made money on that stock clip. Grab it, move it over, and say, you know what? I'm gonna sell this one now, right? So this one is a nice one of just a rock surface and the waterfall. And then move it around maybe again. Catch something that's maybe just the lagoon part, right? So here we are, just the lagoon part. Oh, got somebody swimming in there, or either that or it's a dead body. I'm not sure which, one of the two. And if you don't like something, you can still fix this like you would anything else. If you're like, man, that needs a little more of whatever, you know, pop. So if you wanted to fix the adjustment levels, you're like, man, that's just not, I wanna bring this up, I want to darken something up, I want to sharpen something, I want to fix my whites or my blacks, I want to make it a little bit more contrasty. Anything that you want to add, you can go ahead and add and fix this image, and you're not just fixing the image, you're fixing the full video file. So you can actually move around and create all sorts of really, really nice scenes, right? And you can do this at, again, 1920 by 1080. You can also go ahead and scale this. So let me zoom back out for a second. And you can see, and I'm just gonna do it just real quick. I'll just do, this is Command T on the Mac, Control T on the PC. I'm just gonna bring up the transform. It'll say, this requires converting it to a smart object. Not a problem, we don't mind that. But I just wanna show you, when I zoom out, that's our video file out there, all right? That's what we're moving around. That big bad boy, right? Oh, That's one of those things. Unless I lock it in, it'll lose its image when I'm doing it in the free transform mode. But you can just kind of see how you just have so much more image there, and that's really all I wanted to show you is just how big that is, right? That's just so big. So this is an easy way that you can go ahead and you can still, with this image or with anything else, you can still go ahead and apply all those techniques that we were already just using. So let me go ahead and I'm gonna escape back out of this, and I will bring this back up. Let me go back to kind of before we switch the canvas size. All of the adjustment layers that we were doing on the other thing that we wanted to do. If there's any other adjustment layers, you're like, man, Rod, let's add a little vibrance to it, right? So let's go ahead and let's change that, add a little vibrance, maybe work on the saturation a little bit. Go ahead and then export and resize this, and you can go ahead and do this. So from one day, going out and shooting at one time, setting up your camera, you can go ahead and get, what, 10, 15, 20 clips from it that you can go ahead and sell on different stock sites. So we've had a lot of people that have joined us in the back, so we don't have much time left, but let me just real quick, in just one quick minute, I'll just read for those who just came in. You can also add, let me get rid of these two little layers right here of our adjustment layer. For those of you that are just joining, something else you could do, black and white, just real quick, and then go through, grab your brush, and make that brush a lot bigger. And then with black, you can paint on just the part that you want color. Oh, it would be helpful if I had that turned off. Hold on, let me get back out of that. But anyways, you can go ahead and paint back in your kind of black. I grabbed the wrong brush. Let me back that up. You can go ahead and paint back in the color that you want right on your layer mask. So that's all the time. I'm sorry, guys, I'm having to talk so fast. That's all the time we have. But no, it's so. Thank you guys for coming. If there's any questions or anything, I can take some questions. Anybody? I kind of went through some stuff really fast on the time lapse. Anything? All right, guys. All right. Thank you guys for joining us. Those of you that are joining us on the live stream, this will also be on replay. Again, my name is Rod Harlan. We're at the Adobe Max conference here at the Dell booth, sponsored with FMC. And you can get some great training on the FMC website and also on this YouTube channel. Thank you guys for coming.